and two, I've come from nothing. So it's not as if I'm sitting around doing any, not working hard, not out on the street, etc., and stuff like that.
I don't really understand which bit of your biography you think should exclude you from this tax.
Well,
Okay, so yesterday in the UK we had the budget, which is the government spending plans, and predictably, our media is already monetizing grievance from people who want a better country but don't want to pay for it. And in this call, you're going to hear a perfect example of this mindset. The desire for Scandinavian services with US levels of tax. This is Rob, a man who lives in a £2 million house, complaining that he's being penalized. Listen to who he thinks should pay the price instead. If you want to see more videos like this, hit the like and subscribe button, and don't forget to ring the notification bell so you never miss a video. Now let's watch this together, and then I'll give you my thoughts at the end.
You mentioned about, people raking up leaves, working in the coal, whether it's roofers, road workers, etc., and stuff like that. So I actually fit into that category. I come from a council house. My wife comes from a council house as well. And we've worked since the age of 16 extremely hard, 6 days a week, to provide for our family. We also live in a house that's well over £2 million. And obviously this mansion tax is a huge worry for us, because obviously we put all of our money and savings, etc., renovations and so on, into this property that we'd like to hand down to our children. And at the same time, I think it's a little bit unfair that we're going to be taxed on something. One, I've paid a huge amount of tax in as I've gone along, and two, I've come from nothing. So it's not as if I'm sitting around doing any, not working hard, not out on the street, etc., and stuff like that. So just as I say, that's where I feel it's a little bit unfair.
I don't really understand which bit of your biography you think should exclude you from this tax.
Well, the fact that why should I be penalised for work? So what does it say to someone who so if you want to achieve things in life, what does it say to someone that if you get to a certain point you have to pay more tax?
Well, you already do. We already live in that society. That's what tax thresholds do on income tax.
And I get that, and I think they should be putting up income tax. I think they should be keeping an eye on what they spend on welfare. Keeping an eye on how much, if are people actually entitled to mobility, cars, etc., and stuff like that, rather than just wasting money. I know we're going a little bit off piece here, but
we are and we're not, because you don't arrive at opinions like that by accident. You could turn on the laziest phone-in host in the world and he'll be talking about Motability and benefits, and people like you in your £2.5 million house will be thinking, why don't we go after that person there, that disabled person with a car? Why are you coming after me and my £2.5 million house? So it isn't off-piste, is it? It's very, very relevant to this conversation, because that's what you've ended up believing.
But at the end of the day, what you should be doing as well, they should be doing checks to see if everyone actually needs all of this as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We shouldn't be talking about people in £2.5 million houses paying a few grand a year. We should be talking about disabled people in cars.
So, but what I'm saying to you, when
I know what you're saying to me. I'm listening to every word, Rob.
But what I'm saying is, when I started off, I was in the council house, and I've tried.
And if you were still there, you wouldn't have to pay a mansion tax. But you're not. So what?
But that makes all you're doing is is completely one-sided.
What do you mean it's completely one-sided? I'm going to get hit with it. I'm going to get hit with it as well. We're on the same side. We're both going to be able to do our patriotic duty and plug some of the holes caused by ludicrous political decisions over the last 14 years.
Absolutely, but at the same time, the government needs to turn around and say, right, well, where can we save money?
Let's go after more disabled people.
No, it's not. So again, that's
the one you came up with, Rob. That's the one you reached for first,
mate. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that you need to be more careful. You need to be more.
Well, I've got good news for you. BMW and Audi cars are going to be removed from the car scheme for disabled.
Absolutely, because I was with someone at the weekend and they said that the amount of money that is wasted on these is just astronomical.
Yeah, but it's the same amount of money regardless of whether you drive a tiny car or a big car. It's the allowance that you get that you choose to put towards whatever car you want. So how is that wasted?
Putting up mansion tax, how much is that going to raise? It's going to probably
about
raise
400 million,
maybe.
Yeah, that's what they hope.
Million. Whereas I'd rather pay a little bit more tax and it be distributed correctly.
But not to disabled people with cars, though.
Sorry?
Not to disabled people with cars.
No, I'd rather it be if they need it, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So why do you think that story in the last 6 months has become so big, Rob?
Because
12 months ago, you never gave it a second thought. What do you think has happened in the last 6 months that has made a nice bloke with regards to the Motability scheme? It's made a nice bloke like you think that the reason why I shouldn't have to pay a mansion tax is all these disabled people driving around in cars that they don't deserve. How do you think that happened, mate?
It's not just that, is it?
That's the first thing you raised when you rang this programme.
If you let me speak for 1 second.
If you answer the question that I've asked, how do you think that happened?
with regards to, because obviously it's been publicly made, people are being made aware of it.
By whom?
More often. By everyone.
No, not by everyone. By whom?
It's common knowledge that there's a lot of people on benefits.
Wasn't talked about 12 months ago. What has happened? Why is it the first thing you reach for? Robin Rickmansworth, looking for reasons why he shouldn't pay tax on his £2.5 million house, is talking about disabled people in Motability vehicles. How has that happened?
You've missed the point completely.
Of course I have, Rob.
You've missed the point completely.
Well, remind me what it is.
What I was saying to you was that when I started working, we had nothing. We've worked extremely hard.
I heard all that. Okay? That's not a point. That's a biography. I'll wait for it to be published.
Why should we be penalised?
Why should I be penalised?
Why should we be penalised when the
disabled people are driving around in cars
isn't being utilised correctly?
Oh, that's a different. No, that's not what you're saying. You're saying you shouldn't pay it because you've worked hard and you grew up in a council house. And I'm saying, what's that got to do with the price of eggs?
I'm saying the money, the tax as well. Okay, that I have no problem in paying more income tax. No problem at all. I think that's the way it should be done. More income tax. Clever spending on welfare. Cut the welfare slightly.
Which bits, mate?
Sorry?
Which bits?
Again, it's not. I'm not down to that to make that. And I know you're going to say, "Well, you made that accusation," but at the same time, I just think it needs to be.
I know you do. I know you do, and you're not alone. And loads of people think that they shouldn't be paying more tax. And fair play to you for thinking you should be paying more income tax, but that goes on welfare as well, and that goes on Motability. And with the greatest of respect, if I was having a phone in about whether or not you should pay more income tax, you might be ringing me to tell me that you'd happily pay a mansion tax, but you don't think you should be paying more income tax. We've got no way of pinning that down. But listen to yourself, and I say this with love. The idea that the financial plight of this country is caused by people in Motability vehicles, people on universal credit or asylum seekers in hotels is absolutely ridiculous. But it has been very deliberately, very carefully and very successfully seeded in the minds of perfectly decent people like you. And it goes hand in hand. The reason why the rhetoric is so attractive is because we think it lets us off the hook. We somehow think that it will make us better off to resist these kind of ideas, but it doesn't. It really doesn't make us better. The only thing that makes us better off is a proper redistribution of wealth. And that involves going after the people who own the newspapers and who buy the television stations and who punt the rhetoric that has got you complaining about the Motability scheme in the context of a conversation about paying $2 or $3 grand a year for the privilege of living in one of the most expensive houses in the country. And that's the end of my TED Talk.
So there it is. That call is the blueprint for everything that those of us who live in the UK are going to continually hear for the next 72 hours. And then next week, we'll be back to complaining about migrants again. It doesn't matter what Rachel Reeves announces in any budget, or that budget in particular yesterday. For people like Rob, and for much of the right-wing media, it would never be enough, and it will always be someone else's fault. First, you get the sob story. So Rob said he came from a council house, he works hard. It's a narrative designed to mask the reality that his wealth has come less from his labour and more from a broken property market that he looked into. Then you get the core hypocrisy. He is the living, breathing embodiment of the Scandinavian Services for US Tax Levels problem. He enjoys the benefits of living in a society that protected his investment and made it grow exponentially, but screams penalty, penalty the moment he's asked to contribute a little more to maintain it. Rob didn't invent this argument, he downloaded it. It's a product of a media machine that pumps this crap out 24/7, creating an army of absolute morons who genuinely believe the country's finances can be fixed by taking a Motability car away from a disabled person. He's been programmed to look down at the weakest instead of looking up at the people who own the TV stations and the newspapers that feed him this poison. He says he's happy to pay more income tax, but then immediately pivots to cutting welfare. It's a completely empty statement. The real target is always the same, the vulnerable. James's final diagnosis wasn't just the takedown of one caller, it was the perfect prediction of the brain-rotting discourse we are drowning in today, and especially in the wake of this budget. It's grievance weaponized to protect the comfortable. So what are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button for more, and don't forget to ring the notification bell so you never miss a video. Thanks for watching.